Hi, I'm Carlos Mendoza. I'm here with Storm Gloor. We're just gonna have a little chat in preparation for the Get Loud Music Summit. Um, Storm Gloor, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. First of all, thank you, Carlos, for our visit. I'm looking forward to talking with you. I am a music business professor, associate professor specifically, at CU Denver, where I
Mm.
teach in the Music and Entertainment Industry Studies Department. And I teach courses in music marketing. I teach a Music Cities course. I even teach a course on the Beatles and on Taylor Swift. And I will also oversee the internships. And it's a delight to be here. Thank you.
I wanted to know how did you become involved in the music industry, and where'd you get your start?
Oh, it goes way back when I went into a record store one time. I was working for a marketing company, and that particular store hired me, and eventually I was a manager, a district manager. And then for that entire chain, I was overseeing the music operations. That meant that I was working with record labels in distributing music, to date me here, CDs. And I also, though, took an interest in technology and what was happening with music at the time, i.e., what was going on with Napster and other new services. And I got real involved in that. So I guess I went beyond just the job of, overseeing the buying and marketing in record stores. I wanted to see and help out with what was going on in the industry. So, for instance, I went to D.C. and spoke to folks in Congress and educated them about what the new technologies meant. That opened a lot of doors for me, and I was invited to speak one time at a university and learned that there were music business programs at a handful of universities around the country. I immediately thought, I could really do more to help aspiring musicians with what I know about the music industry. So I found it as a good fit and made a career change and started teaching at CU Denver 18 years ago.
Wow, that's awesome. That's fantastic. I know at CU Denver you developed a class called Music Cities.
Yes.
What topics do you explore in this class, and why do you think Denver is a good music city in this context?
Well, it's funny because seeing what was happening in Denver was actually the impetus for starting the class.
Mm.
A little bit of self-interest in the scene here because I saw versus other cities how great Denver had it, and the interesting and groundbreaking programs that were being started here. It was almost as if Denver became our laboratory, and I wanted students to understand what was going on in our scene versus other scenes. So we'd study what's happening in Seattle, why Seattle grew as a music scene, and how it thrives today, and the usual suspects like Los Angeles, New York, Nashville. But we even dig deeper into other communities around the U.S. And long and short of it is it gives students an appreciation of where they are here in Denver, so that hopefully they can become part of our Denver music scene. They can help support musicians. They can help build the infrastructure, or they can start a business or a nonprofit here.
I see. Yeah, you want to like build up Denver a little, even more than what it is right now.
Yeah.
Okay, that's powerful. I wanted to know your class description mentions specifically a music economy.
Mhm.
From an emerging artist point of view, what are the most important obstacles in today's music economy?
One thing is competition.
Mhm.
You are competing now with so many other artists because the barrier to entry has been lowered. Anyone can make music at home. And in fact, not to digress, but with AI now, it's making it even more possible for everyone to become a creative musician.
Mhm.
So in terms of the competition, you've got to stand out. You've got to find what's different and unique about what you do. You've got to have this live presence, and you've got to think at every moment you are branding. And you think of touring as just going out and making money and, hoping people show up and hoping they liked your show. But what it really is a product showcase. It at every place you play, there are folks who are there because they are a huge fan and they, stood in line to get tickets, or they stood in line to get in the venue early so that they could be right at the front of the stage. But you got to remember there's also people who happen to have some time on their hands. That happen to be the bar that they like to go to every night.
Yeah.
Or they're the significant other or the friend of somebody who is a fan and they got brought along. Anyway, you've got to speak to those people who don't know you as much as those people who showed up for your show. So the branding at every possible moment is important to address that amount of competition. And lastly, I would say that you've got to understand the importance of songwriting. Songwriting, if you're in a band and you're not songwriting, learn how. But if you're a songwriter, keep writing, keep perfecting your art, because songs themselves are the mailbox money that will support you later in your career. And the cool thing about getting a hit song is that it can put you on the map and you can work from it for years. There are plenty of artists, I won't name names right now, who are known as one-hit wonders. And they would tell you, I'm proud to be a one-hit wonder because it paid for this house, it paid for this car. It's money I get in my mailbox again every 90 days. And so call me a one-hit wonder if you'd like.
I was going to ask, many artists have come out discussing the difficulties of touring, big name issues being exhaustion, the organizational issues. I wanted to know, is touring financially worth it?
Well, I'm going to give you the cop-out answer of it depends on what genre you're playing, who's in the band, where they are at in life, what your goals are as a band or as an artist. There's a lot of factors that come in to play that it depends on. But it is less logical economically because of, increasing costs and the competition that's out there. I mean, to get a gig and to really put on a show for a crowd that, is less likely to go to shows nowadays is a huge proposition. And so I can totally understand artists shying away.
Can you give us an elevator summary of how the landscape of record sales has changed throughout your career?
Oh my goodness! Well, first of all, I go way back.
Yeah.
But in the beginning of my career, the irony is that when I started working at a record store, I was throwing away vinyl records because they weren't selling. When record labels started pulling back on the release of CD singles and really raising the prices of CDs, it was almost the perfect storm when Napster came on the scene.
Yeah.
And just the fact that you could share songs digitally really is the tipping point, if you will, of when it all changed. And we took so long to figure out the model for downloads that before we even perfected it, streaming came along. And so that's been sort of my evolution. And what I would take away from that is it's all about disruptions. And disruptions are going to continue to happen. And so I think that's the takeaway, is that we're always going to be changing. Consumers are going to change the way they consume music, and they're always going to lean into the simplest way.
I have a follow-up question for that one. Where do you see the world of record sales going from here?
Well, I think you say world of record sales going from here, and I
Yeah.
think world of record sales is actually gone. With streaming, it's more about consumption. It's more about experiencing the music
Mhm.
than it is buying it and owning it.
Mhm.
So I think it's gone. If the surprising increase in vinyl sales
Mhm.
tell us anything, though, it's that we do like the tactile copy of music now.
Mhm.
We like to own a piece. You may or may not be aware of the fact that most of the vinyl that gets bought, if not a large part of the vinyl that gets bought, actually never gets played. There
Mhm.
are people buying vinyl records, a lot of people buying vinyl records who don't even own a record player. So just as streaming is an experience of the music,
Yeah.
vinyl records are, in a sense, the experience of the brand of the artist as
Yeah.
well.
What kind of missteps have you seen emerging artists take when trying to create a profit stream from their music?
I'll generalize here without pointing to one particular artist,
Mhm.
especially for their sake, but I'll say that it's very it's very easy to think only short term.
Mhm.
It's very easy to think, here's what I want to do for the next 3 months. And I think, they find that they get to that point and then turn around and say, okay, what's next? What's next? Without thinking of the long term picture and how everything should build toward that. You've literally got to begin with the end in mind. And almost as a musician, no matter what age you are, think 20 or 30 years from now, what do you want to get to? So is being in this city, this particular city, going to get me there? Is doing, as I said earlier, is not learning how to write songs effectively helping me, or should I start doing that? Everything that will get you to that point successfully has to be built on. S- So, again, my short answer is think long term instead of thinking just what can I do next week to get, a few dollars in my pocket.
Yeah.
Where do you want to be? And then work backwards from that. Because it may mean that, again, you may have to move to another city. You may have to learn how to teach music as a side project. You may want to spend time networking and getting to know a lot of the people in your scene because they could be a connection to where you want to get to as well. So know that path
Mhm.
early on.
Yeah.
I guess I would also say, and I sort of touched on it, you've got to be thinking what's unique and drive that home.
Mhm.
As I mentioned it in terms of a live performance, but in everything you do, are you communicating a story about what's unique about you versus every other artist out there?
Mhm.
So,
Powerful. If touring is decreasing in profitability and streaming makes record sales almost obsolete, how can emerging artists create a financially viable pathway for their music?
well, when it comes to finances, first of all, I always suggest to anyone that you need to literally do the math. Think about how much money you want to make this year. Is it $20,000? Is it 15? Is it 80? And maybe it will be a moment of realization as to, the touring and record sales part of the equation when you actually sit down and think, okay, I'm going to make this much money playing live. I'm going to make this much money off streaming sales or record sales. What else am I going to have to do to get to that magic number?
Mhm.
It may mean that I might have to take on a teaching gig, teaching my instrument or teaching songwriting or something like that. It may mean that I add to my merchandise line. It may mean that you take on a job, working sound at a local venue. Whatever it might be, you've got to be thinking mathematically, what does replace this? There are lots of stories out there of artists making money in the craziest ways, and even from experiences like meet and greets before the show and things like that. So you may have to get very, very creative Many years ago, Josh Freese almost made a farce of how you can make money, and he was a drummer,
Yeah.
and he had things as crazy as "You can come smoke pot with me on the steps of the Capitol" and things like that, or "We can get pizza together." You may have to get very creative, but I bet that if you think about and sort of learn from other musicians how they are adding to their income level to get to that magic number, I think it's definitely something you should look at. But that's, thinking year by year. When you think long term, think about the songs that you create and how they. First of all, you are a business.
Mhm.
You are a business as a musician. Your big asset is your songs. The publishing side of the business is, probably the fastest growing part of the industry. And so also be thinking about how I focus on songs that will be hits. If there'll be hits on TikTok, that's okay. If there'll be YouTube sensations, that's great. But whatever you can do to monetize those assets that you have as music. But getting a song in a commercial, getting a song in a video game, getting a song in an independent film, whatever it might be, is going to earn you that money and keep monetizing that content you created. And that's a big part of the equation too,
Mhm.
for the long term especially.
Do you have any advice for emerging artists who need to find a source of funding for their music creation in the first place, i.e., equipment, recording, mixing, mastering, etc.?
hmm The go-to answer always is crowdsourcing, crowdfunding, and finding supports in that way. They're
Mhm.
trying to raise money. It- you're a business, and now you could think of yourself as a nonprofit. How do nonprofits raise money? How do they get funding?
Mhm.
There's grants out there. Uh, eh, there are, various funding sources like that. But I don't know that that's a breakthrough answer to your question. But I'll say it's a reminder that there are sources out there, and and think like a nonprofit.
Awesome. Thank you for your answers and thank you for talking with me. Do you have any closing statements you'd like to say?
I would say that it can be pretty daunting to be a musician these days.
Mhm.
You have to remember that being a talented artist, really in any discipline, but as a musician, you've got something to say to the world through your music.
Mhm.
You've got feelings that you pour out into the lyrics of a song. You've got a talent for playing an instrument, whatever it might be. And it may sound daunting to enter this business and try to make a business out of it,
Mhm.
but I want you to remember that there's a benefit you get beyond the monetary side of it. There's the ability to express yourself that is as rewarding as the money is. The ability to see people enjoy your music, to know that someone's playing your song at their wedding, to
Mhm.
know that somebody is made happier by hearing your lyrics, or they're coping with a difficulty in their life better by virtue of hearing your song. That's a reward in itself that can't have a price tag put on it. And so remember that you're doing good for the world. And don't give up just because the money doesn't work out. Find a way.
Mhm.
I know you can find a way to do that, but focus your energies on why you're really doing it,
Yeah.
and I think it'll take you a long way.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Same here.
Mhm.
Appreciate it.
Mhm.